Welcome everyone. I'm just thinking about I'm part of a women's circle, an online women's circle, and there whenever we have ceremony, in the beginning we always like breathe together and like, okay, how are you feeling in your body right now, arriving here, and then we sing something and then we start. I was just thinking that would be such a nice start to this, but I mean, it's not really a sharing circle here, it's mostly like me talking. But it's a very nice, actually it's a really nice thing to think about in the beginning of this video, because it's, yeah, this is what, or yeah, my video relates a lot to that, I think. Yeah, I felt a little bit nervous to talk about this lesson because, oh well, maybe I can say how I'm feeling. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit nervous. Because yeah, I was like reflecting before, just right before this video, why I feel nervous to talk about this lesson. And I think it's because like all the other lessons are very much connected to the mainstream subjects of mental health, and the things that are very like in the current of the public eye. Or if I like look through social media, there's a lot about yeah, like those lessons that I talked about before, and like the things that can help you feel more calm, more centered, and yeah, and this lesson number 8 that I want to talk about today is very much yeah, it's very specific, and it's very, I feel like it's something that's very close to my heart, and something that's really a big part of my journey. Yeah, and at the same time it's not a very mainstream subject, I would say, and maybe that's why I feel more vulnerable talking about this now. And yeah, I was like thinking if this is something I should put in the book, but the thing is just, it's been such a big part of my healing journey, and I think it connects to a lot of it helped me so much to heal from, or to go through depression, and to learn so much, and that's why I'm talking about it here. So the lesson, I mean, you've already read it beneath the video. The lesson is called, wait, let me check here. My womb and my cycle are the most powerful sources of direction that I have as a woman. My womb and my cycle are the most powerful sources of direction that I have as a woman. There's so much to say about this. I had it on my laptop because on the paper here I had it written down differently. Okay. Yeah, and it's very vulnerable to give space to this like publicly, because it's something that's really been like part of my journey, but in a very I didn't share it with a lot of people. I didn't talk about it a lot, or if I talked about it, I only scratched on the surface and didn't really reveal how deep it goes and how transformative it is for me. And I think my story with this really, like with my womb and with my cycle, really relates, or I can imagine that a lot of people with a womb can relate to it, because I hope throughout this video that you it will become clear what the thread or what the connection with this topic of depression this topic has. But I think I will just start like where my journey started with my womb and my cycle. Or is that really so? Yeah, I think so, because I have two sisters, like I'm the second oldest. It was kind of already so I feel like this is really not important, but I really want to talk about it. So okay, I will just take a sip. I made hot chocolate because I really felt like I needed something like for the heart today. It's very good. Okay. Okay, maybe I can speak about it, like the general thing at first before I dive into my story. So, I mean, I want to say I'm still learning so much about it, and I'm not at all, I don't know, a doctor or a professional. I just know what I have learned, what I have studied, like myself, and I only share from that perspective. I mean, I'm not a professional. I'm just a professional about my experience, and what I know, like what I've read and learned and discovered. Okay, so women, we have, or let's start at like, as humans, we all have a hormonal, like we have hormones in our body that are circulating and that are really influencing us and organizing different things, if I can say it like this. And all of us humans, we have it's called the circadian cycle, and that means that our hormones kind of are in connection with the sun and the cycle of the sun shining onto the earth, or like not shining, or like not being there, so like with the light and the dark times of the day. So our hormonal system kind of cycles like for 24 hours, and kind of helps us to to wake up in the morning, be active during the day, and that it's like it feels very kind of our natural rhythm for us, and that we slow down when we're going towards the night, and then at night we have a tendency to feel like we want to sleep. So there's this hormonal cycle that's happening in all of us, and what's different for women, like I'm saying women, and I mean people with a womb, like anyone who has a womb in their body, those people also like have a second cycle. I think it's called just the lunar cycle. Lunar means the moon, and it's kind of not all like women or people with I will just say women, and I mean people with a womb. I hope that's okay. Or I would say woman, like womb and then en. Like those people have a second cycle, and that cycle goes like in general like takes 28 days before it starts over. And of course for some women it's longer, or for others shorter, or some have irregularities due to different things. And and this hormonal cycle that women go through, as well as the circadian cycle, really influences their experience of life, how they feel in their body, how they interact with the world, what they're drawn towards, what they're just how they feel in general. And so this is like to me it feels like a huge deal, because I mean our experience is our body is the vessel through which we experience life. So if there's like a cycle happening that really changes and is like a changing thing for 28 days, of course it influences me. And when I started learning about this really in depth in 2022, I think that's when I started. Or I mean, it's been such a longer journey. Like it started. I don't know. I think I will continue with the general stuff and then I will go into my journey. And the cycle can. So there's like this really hormonal distinction or difference between women and men, or people who don't have a womb, and this cycle can be like, you can view it, or that's how I learned it. What I find very beautiful is like that you can see the cycle as like the cycle that is going through 4 different seasons, kind of like the seasons that we have outside like in the northern hemisphere. Like right now fall is here, and it's fall, of course, it's very different to, let's say, spring. Like it feels different, it smells differently, you experience it differently, you feel differently, and those hormonal cycles that we have the winter, which is like when we have women have their period. That's when they're I mean, I don't want to go into detail, but the estrogen is very, very low. They have very little energy. They feel very much like they just want to, like, very vulnerable. And, or maybe I can speak from my experience. I feel very vulnerable, very like I'm really in the depth of my soul, and really like just shut off, and I just want to be in my dark little cave and really dwell in everything that's coming up in me, and I feel very raw and very, very tired, very like I have very little energy, and it feels like a releasing, which it literally is a releasing. So okay, and then there's spring, like after the period is done, where like you really feel like the estrogen is rising in the body, and estrogen is like the hormone for growth and for, like, I don't know, it makes the skin look more blush, I don't know, and your eyes are shining more brightly. Actually, I learned, which is very interesting, that or I will tell that later. And so you're really starting to feel, or from my experience, I start to feel like, okay, I'm coming out of this dark cave, I'm kind of excited about life again, and I want to plan things, and I'm excited for the month that's ahead, and really feel like I'm opening up again and wanting to connect more with people, and kind of like spring, like it's everything after the darkness and the coldness and the quietness of winter is like starting to bloom up, and there's like excitement, and of course it takes some time. It's not like from 0 to 100, but it's like everything's waking up again, there's more sun, and then the third part of that cycle is inner summer, or I learned it as like the seasons are like inner winter, inner spring, and inner summer, and that is the time where like estrogen has reached its peak. I mean, there are a lot of other hormones playing into this, but like this is like the main character. And also another hormone is rising, luteinizing hormone, which I mean, the what happens in the body of a woman is very I mean, there's so much more to it, and I can't really go into depth, but the luteinizing hormone makes the what is it actually called? Oh, I don't know the word in English. Anyway, makes the follicle that is holding the matured egg release, like it releases the egg, and then that egg travels to the canal. Oh my gosh, I wasn't prepared to give a lesson onto this. Anyway, and that's like from the experience of the woman. For me, it feels like, okay, I'm really in my summer. I'm excited to connect with people, and I feel really, what I learned, which is very interesting, is that the voice also is like higher in the summer, in the inner summer of a woman, and in her winter it's lower. Like it's really, like you can really tell, and you're really like, or I feel like I'm really shining and very open, and I really want to connect with people and feel very, very good and very sexy and cool and like all that. And it's because like in that phase you're fertile as a woman, and you're like, your biology is asking you to connect and to recreate, and after that phase begins the inner fall, and that's usually like 11 to 15 days, I think, and that's like where everything starts to slow down. And in my experience, I become very, like, everything maybe that I hadn't looked at, that I like, the things that, like in the summer it's very busy and there are a lot of things happening in the summer, in the inner summer, and then in fall when everything slows down, inner fall, I feel like I'm starting to notice things that I hadn't noticed in the busy time before, and also I'm able to notice maybe what I would like to adapt or change, and maybe have conversations that are a little bit more tender, because I'm very connected to my intuition, or more going inside. Like in fall you're more wanting to be more inside and drink a warm cup of tea and sit by the fire, maybe. I mean, it's just in my imagination, I don't have a fireplace here. And journal and like be creative. In that time I feel very like drawn to making art, or being more connected with myself, write a lot, and and also I feel very vulnerable and very kind of like the layers of my, I don't know, kind of like the layers are revealing what's underneath or something. So and my body is kind of preparing for menstruation, which of course is a very like tender and very vulnerable time, so I'm becoming more and more open and vulnerable, in my experience. And then in the winter I'm kind of like, again, like shedding everything and releasing what doesn't serve me anymore, or what I wanted to grieve, or and when I learned that, it was very new for me. I learned that in 2022, and of course before I had heard like things like I'm like PMSing, like I'm right before my period, so I'm very like emotional, or I'm in my ovulation, so I feel very good, or like I think I had heard those things, but never in this very clear context. And since I've learned it, I've really started to feel into those different seasons, and I became very aware of when they were happening, and realized or understood why I was feeling the way I was feeling, which was super helpful, because before I would just feel differently during the month, and I didn't really connect the dots, and I couldn't really relate it to my hormonal changes. And the reason why I'm adding this lesson here to my book is because I feel like it's a big gift and a big blessing that as women we have this cycle that is happening in us, usually for most women who have regular cycles, that really kind of like allow us to experience those different phases like throughout 1 month or one cycle. And honestly, kind of, it sounds like kind of rough, but they don't give us another choice than to experience them, whether we experience them like consciously and we're aware of them or unconsciously. And like this time, like this inner fall and inner winter, where like we're kind of forced from our hormones and our body to really become aware of things that we might maybe want to look away from in the inner summer or inner spring, or that we don't want to deal with. They're like, our body's really asking us and kind of forcing us to look at them. And I don't know if this sounds too abstract now, but like for me, when I feel very, very vulnerable and very raw, like all those things, like it's easier for like really raw and tender things to come up, like those emotional things. And so we're kind of thrown back at ourselves every month when we're in this inner fall or inner winter phase, and and are confronted, or it's very present for us, like to be confronted with those things. And so we're kind of going through this, or from my experience, I feel like I'm going through like grieving processes and kind of like this experience similar, maybe, well, I wouldn't say similar, but like for me, depression is like this cocoon phase, like I said in the first video, I think, where you really go inside and you grieve and you change on the inside so much and you transform so many things, and it's very focused on your inner life, and because you don't have the energy to do a lot of things, you're kind of stuck there and just have to face those things. And in my experience, like my menstruation time, or like right before, that's the time where like my body's telling me, okay, you don't have so much energy now, let's face inwardly and just look at the things that might be kind of tough to look at. And so my cycle as a woman really is helping me to really stay connected with myself by like leading me, or like cycling through this every month. And and it can really, like, why the lesson, why I say that it's like the most powerful source of direction that I have as a woman, is because of course the more I know myself, the more I'm able to show up in the world and with the people around me in a very authentic way, and like be very clear about my intentions, about what I want, what I don't want, set healthy boundaries, know what I want to walk towards. And so it can really, like, for me, it makes a lot of things very clear to me. It helps me to get to know myself better, like I said. Okay. And I imagine, like, I wondered how, what kind of person would I have been? Would I even have fallen into depression if I had this knowledge and this awareness of my cycles and my body, like from when I started to bleed, like when I had my first period. And this is like such an interesting thing, because growing up I learned a little bit about my cycle. Like, we had this workshop that our parents had organized. We had this workshop at school, like with just us women, girls, and then the boys had one at the same day. It was just, I think, one afternoon or maybe 2 afternoons, I'm not sure. where we learn just what happens in our body when we go through this cycle. And then I had my period, and it was like we kind of celebrated it in my family, which I think is very nice, as a kind of transition, but kind of like what it really meant. I didn't really know. I just knew that I would be bleeding every month and what was happening, but what it really meant, like on a hormonal level, I didn't, or on an energetic level, like emotional level, I didn't know. And so I just like walked, just grew up, kind of, like most other women, like hiding when I had my period and feeling like kind of trying to keep up with everyone else when I was bleeding, because I didn't think that, yes, sometimes like when we had PE in school, some girls would say, okay, I have my period, I don't want to join, and that was fine, but the rest of the day, like everything, like everyone seemed to have to just keep up with the pace of everyday life, and was not like a big topic at all. And so I didn't feel connected to this at all. Now I'm just talking about the cycle, but I've learned so much about like the womb, and just like as women, like what power we hold. That it's such a huge topic. I don't even know where to start. Anyway, I think it's very interesting, because when I didn't really sorry, this is a little bit slow at the moment, but changing music. When this depression started, at the end of, I just read my diary from 2017 yesterday, and I had kind of learned, okay, like I said that before a few times, I had learned in life you strive, like you just go, you have goals, you have intentions, you just go, like you run and you push through, and you like try to achieve things, and kind of like this ever ongoing hustle and kind of this running. And when at the end of 2017 I had lived in Leipzig, which now reading that diary, it was such a chaotic time, wow, and also very beautiful, but there was so much happening. I was like traveling, like having visitors, and feeling so lost, and at the same time really focused on, okay, what, and asking myself all those questions, like what do I actually want, what is important for me, how can I live this, and how can I be the person that I really feel like I want to be. And at the same time I feel so trapped by what the people that I love and care about want me to do, and how can I find a balance, because I don't want to disappoint them. Like there was so much chaos, and I was really all over the place. And at the same time I can already see like the little seeds that were planted back then, like reading that journal. And I think it was in October, I went to Thésée for a few days. I was already studying to be a teacher then, but I think I just took a few days off and went to Thésée because one of my friends was there as well, and I just felt like I wanted to go. And in that time, like there's always like a Bible introduction, because it's a monastery, and then part of the daily routine that you go through there as a guest is that you go to prayer in the morning, then there's breakfast, and then there's a Bible introduction led by a brother. And it was because there were very few people there in Thésée at that time, it was a very small Bible introduction, and the brother that was giving the Bible introduction knew me. He's a very kind of, he has a very calm presence and is very, very kind. Brother Stephen, in case you, if the person that's watching knows the brothers. And then he, for some reason, he had like this poster put up in front, and he asked us to write down what are the things that are on our mind at the moment and questions that we're asking ourselves. And I went up and I wrote something down that really, it's so cool that I think that I wrote that down, because it's such a good pinpoint. Like, I can pinpoint so well like what was going on with me at that time. And I wrote down, what does it mean for me to be a woman? And that was really a big question for me at that time. And it's so interesting, because when this question really started to come into my mind, like this depression thing started, and this whole depression thing for me was about holding space, and really holding space for myself and for whatever was coming up, and kind of being this cocoon for my transformation to happen. And because growing up, I feel like I didn't really notice that there was like a significant difference between being a woman and being a man. And I mean, I think there is a different definition for everyone, like everyone has their own definition, but I was just really questioning for myself, like, what does it mean for me to be a woman in this world? And yeah, and I started like traveling down this really long path of like following this question, I think. And I did, like, I found like, now the more I think about this and reflect on my journey, which is actually, it's so healing for me, to understand like how I got where I got to, and I know that I remembered now that I actually did a lot of like spiritual healing stuff before I went this route with therapy, and more like the going into my childhood stuff. And I wasn't sure if I would put this in a book, because some people really resonate with it, some people don't, and yeah, but I think it's good to just paint the whole picture and share what I tried, what worked, what didn't work, or how. And I think actually, in a sense, because in my, like, from how I see it, I see, wow, I didn't think I would talk about this now or here. I had such, like, oh man, there's so much I want to say. Like, in this 2017, in this really chaotic time, I can really tell, like, from my writing and from my journal, that I had so much faith and so much trust that God was like protecting me and guiding me. Like, of course, I mean, I had spent 1 year in a monastery, or 9 months in a monastery, right before that. So my awareness, or my experience of God and love, this love of God, was really, really present. And even though there was so much chaos and questioning happening, I really was so sure, and I knew so clearly that that there's God, and that God is like guiding me, and that I'm here to, like, that I'm his child, and that I'm here to live life as the gift that it is. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. And I mean, I had kind of forgotten how spiritually connected I was back then. And I think I was really missing this grounding that I have now. Yeah, but I think it was such a big source of trust and hope and faith that I had. Like, God, I knew God was having my back. And what did I want to say with this, like, cycle stuff? No, I forgot. With the spiritual healing stuff, I want to say. So I wanted to say that I believe, or in my view, we have like this spiritual side in us, or like our soul, like something that's very spiritual, and then like maybe like the spiritual body, and then the emotional body, and then we have our physical body, kind of like this, and our I don't know where my mind fits into that, but we have like those different layers of us that are all connected, that are all part of one and like looking back now, I really started at the deepest level when I started the healing. Like I really went to really spiritual sources, like to get help, and then slowly went into the emotional stuff, and then went to the physical somatic stuff. So it's very interesting. I think it was very wise to start like at the deepest level, and then kind of I imagine like those deeper levels really had ripple effects on the other levels, and kind of helped me to open up space to heal and on those levels as well. Or that's how I imagine it, that it really starts on the spiritual layer, and then shows its fruits on the other layers after that. So I remember I did, because I was, when I was in Leipzig, I was calling or talking to my mom on the phone a lot, and she knew I was struggling. So when I came back, I went to a friend of hers, or someone she knows, who does theta healing. I don't know if you know that. It's kind of like, it's a spiritual healing. I did that, and then later, like just to give some thoughts on what I did, I did that, and then I also went to a healer. She's actually a healer, like I don't know if you say shaman, I think just a healer, who comes here like to our city every year, and gives, like, is here for a week and gives kind of workshop, and does those meditations where like healing light is like brought into your body, and she works a lot with Jesus as well, like with the energy of Jesus. Sorry if this is too out of your box or out of your experiences. Just let's try to be open for whatever is out there or what other people do, and if not, if it doesn't resonate with you, it's totally fine. I'm just like sharing my experience. And I went to her once when I was really so, like, I knew that, I hope it's okay. No, I'm not gonna share it. Well, anyway, I was really like, that was, when was that? I think that was in the beginning of 2018. I knew she was in the city, and I just passed by this building, like on my way to go to my apartment that I was living in at that time. And I just felt this huge desire to be in a safe space with women, really wise women, and I knew she was there, so I felt so lost and tender and overwhelmed and burned out, and so I just went there and I said, hi, I need help. Very like a spur of the moment, and she was there, and she was open, and she just like did some, like, went with her hands like this around me and checked how I was doing, and then gave me all those things that I should take, like all those I don't know, food, like not food, but like different natural supplement stuff, I don't know. And it told me to come back a few days later for like this meditation, and I think I did that. I also went to a seminar like on the weekend from her, which was also good. I also did, I don't know what, actually, I'm not sure what the word in English is. In German, like if you translate it literally, it's called constellation, but I don't think it's that. So one woman that, again, my mom knows, she does this where like you meet with a few people, and then one person says, okay, I have this topic or this thing that I'm struggling with, and then they say, and then the leader says, okay, we will take your topic today, and then you take all the different players in the scenario that you're struggling with. And it could also, like, of course it could be people, but also it could be maybe certain parts of the situation or different parts inside of you, and every person that is there kind of plays out a different character of this scenario, and their task is, or job is, to feel into this energy of this person or this thing that they represent, and then like find out how they relate to the other characters and how they want to stand, or if they want to change something, or if they want to say something and express something, and they really, and the leader, she's kind of like guiding this a little bit, and supporting this, and then kind of through this process of kind of playing this out for the person that is struggling, and that person that kind of gives this topic is just like usually just standing and watching, standing by, and I did that with her, and the idea is kind of that you go into the energetics of this thing, and by playing it out you're kind of changing the energetics of it and healing it, or giving the person a chance to understand things about the situation. And I did that with the woman, and we kind of just put down shoes for the different people that I was like wanting to be represented in my scenario, or the different aspects of my life, I don't know. And then I or she would go into the different shoes and just talk about how we were feeling, what was coming up, what we wanted to change or say, and I did that, I think, 2 times, and that was also super helpful. So I really did like different things. Okay, and coming back to the lesson of today, I was following, I think it started in 2016, I was also following this spiritual teacher guy online, and was really interested in what he was teaching, and he was kind of like teaching this, just become aware that you are everything, like, and everything is already here, and like kind of to build this awareness that, I don't know, that you are, I don't know, like a very spiritual teacher. And it was super intense, and I like reading now the journal, I think, wow, it was really strong, like forward moving and very intense energy of this guy, because I also wrote down some things that he said, and he got together with this woman, and then they were teaching kind of together, and that's how I found this woman that I was following then for on Instagram, and was really interested in what she was teaching about, and she was really teaching about the divine feminine, and like different stories of like women in history and in the past, or goddesses, or like those very spiritual things, and she gave a seminar on like the priestesses of like back in the days, and kind of how we can connect with them in like meditation, and like learn about them. And so I did that when I started asking myself those questions, what does it mean for me to be a woman? And there it was really also about holding space for what was coming up for yourself, and No, so when I first wrote down this lesson, I also wrote down, oh, I'm really opening up here. I actually meant the actual lesson. I want to call my sexuality, my womb, and my cycle are the most powerful sources of direction that I have. But then I thought, but my sexuality, like, I feel like it's such a personal topic, and I feel like I'm not like I'm someone, I feel like when I only feel confident in a topic when I know a lot about it, and I feel like I'm just starting like to really learn more about this, so I don't feel comfortable about like using sexuality as like the topic of the lesson. And also it's very I think it's a very sensitive topic and can trigger a lot of things for a lot of people, so I just stayed with that. But what I wanted to say with that was that for a really long time I was like most of my life I felt a lot of shame and a lot of like fear when it came to my own sexuality. And I mean, sexuality has a lot to do with what gender you are and how you feel in your body. And I really I felt like that had a lot to do, or like over time I discovered like it's so much related to like feeling comfortable in my body, feeling grounded, feeling peaceful and calm in my body, like just to accept myself for who I am and being okay in my body. And that, I mean, it connects a lot with me being a woman and my sexuality. And I don't know if that makes sense, like all those things. And so that was a topic that was really on my mind a lot, and that I read a lot about. And I think actually I was in a clinic in 2020, we had this really cool therapist. She was so cool, and I did like a course with her in the clinic that was called Body and Emotions, and there we would do different they were so cool, like we did different activities, I would say, and then reflected afterwards, reflected on them. And it helped me so much, like to just experience those activities and then share and reflect on them, and to get feedback from the other people and from her. And one of them, I actually don't remember what exactly it was. I'm sorry, I don't remember now. But one thing like that came up after we did like this activity and we reflected, that I shared that I feel a lot of shame when it comes to my body and being a woman, and then she suggested this book, and she actually like borrowed this book, or she borrowed this book for me. I borrowed this book. I don't know the word. She lended me the book, and I kept it until after the clinic, and then sent it back to her. It was so sweet. Like she was a really cool woman. And I read it. I think that's when I really started to dive into it. And this book was called Vulva. If you don't know, that's like the outside organ of a woman, of her sexual organs, and that's the name for it. It's called vulva. And it was kind of like the cultural history of how this part of the body had been shamed for so long and seen as something really like bad and scary, and had really been kind of kept in the dark from history. I don't know, like it was so cool, like really interesting to see how throughout the centuries, like this part of a woman was so shamed and like really and then I read another book about like the Tao of female sexuality. Also super interesting was like, I think it was like also history stuff, but also like practices that you could do, or knowledge of the female body. Super interesting because if did I say, no, I didn't say this here, like everything that I had learned before about like woman's sexuality and her body was like through, honestly, through media that portrayed women as like this, like, I don't know, like this sex object stuff, like, or objectifying women, and like it never felt like something that I could really relate to or that I could really see myself as, and it always felt like something that was very far away from me, and at the same time I felt like, yeah, but I'm a woman, how can I relate to this? And so those books, like written by women, gave me so much like relief. Okay, like I don't have to be a certain way from like what patriarchy tells me to what it means to be a woman, and can just like learn from other women and grow my own sense of who I am as a woman and how I feel in my body in a different way. It gave me a lot of relief, and yeah, all of this really, yeah, it really helped me to arrive in my body and to, yeah, like really feel calm and connected to who I am, and that I don't have to feel ashamed that I'm not any different, like a certain way. Kind of reflected back to me, it's okay that you are the woman that you are and you don't need to change. And I read some other books, like I don't know. Anyway, like with my period, like I had never really struggled with period pain that much, and I didn't feel particularly connected to it. And then when, actually it was in 2019, I remember I had one really, really tough period. And then I think in 2021, at the end of summer, end of 2021, it started that my periods became super painful. And I think it's so cool. Like, I really believe our body is so wise, because to me it really feels like I started like this journey. Like, okay, I started with this very, very spiritual grounding. Like, okay, now when I look back, I see it like, okay, I started in, like, for example, I mean, it started before as well, like exploring the world and exploring different cultures and seeing different places, meeting all kinds of people and kind of opening up to the world. And then I, just tried out different things. And then I went to Tizé for this longer time, and that really was like this deep, like that year I felt so, like I really experienced like this love from God. Wow, and it's so interesting now to talk about this, because I really forgot how profound it was for me. Like this sense of feeling so loved and feeling so fulfilled by a source that was really there to provide for me. Like this spiritual experience of God, like I really had that when I was there. So it was like really this baseline source of support. It's very, very vulnerable to talk about this, because I don't know, the spiritual side is very, for me, it's something very vulnerable. So I'm very surprised that I open up like this in this video, because I wasn't sure if I would talk about this in my book. Wow, now the music stopped. Yeah, so this really deep sense of connection came, and then I feel like it kind of worked its way up into my real world. I don't know if that makes sense. So the spiritual connection, like deep connection to God, really I experienced that, and then after that, like the years of depression were really about meeting my emotional body and like my emotions, and really facing my emotional experience of life that I had rejected for so long. I think I could only do that because I had experienced this love and this depth and this like support from God, and so I was sure I'm going to be held no matter what, and I'm safe to just open up emotionally. I really think that was a big like generator for me. And so I really discovered and explored my emotional world, my inner emotional world that I had, like I said, rejected for so long. And then like went into my story, into my childhood, like how I grew up, and really like unraveled and kind of shed light onto like a lot of things that I had forgotten that were kind of traumatic or really difficult for me, because I now had experienced or learned about my emotional side, and understood that things really affect me. And then like that was, the emotions were like the second step, and then the third one was my body, and really arriving in my physical body and feeling safe in that. And I think the reason why suddenly my period started to become really painful in 2021 was because like this new layer of learning and coming back to myself was ready to be revealed to me, like a new level in a video game was like unlocked. Because before that it had just been like part of my life, but not a big thing, and then it started to really want my attention, and then I really said, okay, I will just like focus on it more, and really, because I had read those books, and I had really like learned about it like in my mind, and then I was like ready maybe to really take responsibility for it more, like on like my physical experience. And I mean, before that, before my periods started to get so heavy, I think that was then I was really interested in this somatic healing stuff, like with my body and how to calm my nervous system, I think, or was it at the same time? I'm not sure. Yeah, and so I dove into the topic of that and how to heal my period pains or relieve them in a natural way. And I started reading about it a lot, and I went to a naturopath woman who gave me some ideas, but it didn't really satisfy my desire for knowledge or to really dive into this topic. And I found this group, I don't know if you call organization. No, it's not an organization, like this it's like I don't know, it's like, sorry, this woman in the United States who has dedicated her life to teach other women about their cycle, their female body, their pelvis, how everything in the body is connected, and how our connection to Mother Earth really influences our connection to our own body, about herbs, how we can heal through herbs or connect with them more. How our ancestry plays into our physical experience now, how our bodies are connected to our ancestors as well, and so all this healing stuff but very, very body-based and also very scientific-based, actually. And she has studied a lot and learned a lot, and it was like exactly what I had been looking for. Like, I was so thirsty for information and learning about my body and myself, and my female body, that I was like I took her course, this really big course about like the cycle of woman, and how you can really support yourself with different foods, different movements, different herbs, different knowledge through the different seasons. Like, I downloaded all her free info stuff, and I watched so many videos and read her blog posts, and I was so into it, and really, like, it was like a whole new world opening up to me that I was really yearning to understand, because I felt like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known this when I was younger. Why am I only learning this now? And so I really tried to put into practice what I was learning there, and really did my best to really connect with my body and with my cycle and with my womb, like doing womb meditations and doing yoga for the womb, and supporting myself through the different seasons of the cycle with like different teas, different herbs, just different things you can do. And then I joined this circle that's like an extra circle that she offers of women who want to dive deeper, and we meet twice a month online and have like ceremony and embodiment, where we learn about all kinds of different things and share and sing. And I also learned from her, which I think is so cool, that our voice and our womb, like for women, the womb, are so connected, and that singing actually is like has a direct connection to our womb, and kind of relieves tension that is in our womb. And similarly, like when you release tension in your womb, you are also supporting your voice and your singing. I don't know. Maybe you can tell that I'm still learning all those things. But it just resonates so much with me and makes me feel so much more confident as a woman, learning from other women and being connected with other women. It's so amazing. And for me, it's really been such a source of healing and really coming back into my power, because I realize, okay, I don't have to live only in the circadian, or my body's not designed to only live in the circadian rhythm. Like, honestly, our whole world seems to be designed based on like all the structures that I see around me, like from how our society is built, how our work life is built, how everything is built. It seems like it's based on the circadian rhythm. Okay, you get up in the morning and you work, and it's all the same every day, because it's like based on this the sun cycle, and or day and night. And like realizing that I as a woman have another cycle as well that really impacts my experience or how I feel, gave me so much peace with like accepting those different cycles and understanding, and also like knowing that it's okay that sometimes during the month I don't feel 100%, and that actually like my 100% is like going inside and just taking care of myself and being tired, and that's okay. And that I don't have to strive towards being able to keep up with this rhythm that like all the men are like hormonally are living so easily. Not easily, I mean, it's not easy for everyone, but that's just, we have this as well. But as women, we also have this other one that we can really acknowledge and honor and respect, and that there's so much wisdom and so much power in this. Like, it really gave me a whole new awareness, and also like made me feel, I don't know how you say that, like I'm in awe of how amazing my body is, and how amazing it is that I go through those different cycles, and each of them like different phases, and each of them holds so much goodness, and I really, being aware of it really gives me the power to like use those different energies or the different experiences that I have of the different cycles for myself and for my life, and I can kind of direct them in the way that I want them to, and I'm not like a victim of them and feeling, oh, now I'm like this, now I'm like this, what does it mean? And I can actually use them the more I'm aware of them. And yeah, it's really given me back a lot of confidence, I would say, and has taken away this shame of like, okay, why am I not able to keep up with other people sometimes, or with the men sometimes, because I'm not meant to be this way. Yeah, and it gave me a lot of awareness of, or a big answer to this question, what it means for me to be a woman in this world, and a lot of respect for this way of living, and that this is actually how I'm meant to live and how I want to live. Okay, now I feel like I said this like a few times with different words. I hope it makes sense how this is connected, for me, how it's connected to learning from depression. And yeah, maybe if depression wouldn't have stopped me in my running, I would have never given my body the chance to tell me, hi, please listen and see what's actually happening in there, what's very valuable. And I would have never noticed like how powerful my womb and my cycles are. So I think it's really something that really, like a really big gift that came from this time of depression and learning to hold space for my experience, what it means for me. Okay. Now I've already spoken like more than an hour. I don't know if I want to continue with anything. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much if you stayed with me for this hour and for listening. I really appreciate it. I feel like this is like this topic and like women supporting women is like really something that is going to continue to be in my life, and something that I really want to continue to nurture in my life. And I feel like this is something that my life is really heading towards. So I feel like it's kind of something like a lesson, but also something that this depression kind of led me to find, and that I'm hoping to share with other women soon in my life. And until then, I'm just so grateful, because getting to know myself and my body and what it means for me to be who I am in this world really is such a gift and such a grounding experience, bringing myself back to who I am, and gives me a sense of who I am in this world, who I want to be, what my purpose is maybe. And yeah, thank you for giving me the space to explore this here. And if there's anything that comes up for you that you would like to share about this, feel free to comment or send me a message. I'm always happy to hear feedback or your own experiences. And other than that, I just hope you're doing well and that you have a really nice rest of your day. I'm sending you warm wishes from Germany, from Freiburg, and I hope to see you in the next video. And I'm super excited to continue writing the book, and hopefully I will get to share it with you soon. Stay tuned. All right, have a beautiful rest of your day, and see you next week.